to stop parents, friends, and relatives from taking over your wedding plans. I'm Margaret Johnson, your wedding fairy godmother, professional wedding officiant, and your premarital mentor. I'm here to walk you through the steps from your moment of yes to your moment of I do. So, if those meddlesome parents and relatives or friends are trying to take over your wedding ceremony, avoid disappointment and resentment with these communication tips. So, this is not your Aunt Mary's wedding, no matter what they think, right? Or how loudly they say it. It's not your parents' wedding, despite some parents might be paying for it, so you will have to lend an ear to their advice and suggestions if that's the case, right? But this is your wedding, and it should be a day that shouts your love, right? From wherever you want it to be, right? But unfortunately, as weddings get smaller and timelines tighten, and we're heading toward winter, the easier it is for things to get a little crowded, right? So when it comes to wedding planning, we're talking about well meaning but meddlesome relatives or friends, of course, right? It's the familiar curse of having too many cooks in the kitchen. And it happens anytime groups with enthusiastic people try to plan anything together. Only this time, the kitchen isn't a day trip, it's your wedding for Pete's sake, right? Soon, you and your partner's vision of the perfect day is lost in the sea of suggestions of outdated tips and, crafting glue, and the ceremony and the reception run a risk of looking nothing like what your ideal wedding is. Having too many cooks in the proverbial kitchen is not the problem unique to weddings during, the times that we're in, right? But friends and families are more likely than ever to be doubling as wedding photographers or DJs or caterers or cocktail extraordinaires and even wedding officiants, right? And although the shift does come with a silver lining, especially when it comes to smaller weddings, you can offer a sweetness of intimacy and sacrifice the large gathering. It can also be a real pain when one of your friends or relatives gets too pushy and wants to help too much or decides to take over the planning completely without even asking, right? Even more frustrating is when two or more loved ones decide that they know best and they don't agree with anything that you say, right? So, here's what to do to avoid potential resentment and disappointment. To avoid losing your voice in your wedding planning, have a plan, right? Professionals suggest that partners decide together early on which things are essential ingredients and which things are negotiable. Have strong feelings about your venue and your music selection. Those are essential. If you couldn't care less about your gift bags or tablecloth, those are negotiables. Negotiables can be assigned to your parents or relatives or friends, but their essential ingredients won't be up to further decision or discussion, right? Like your dress, yeah, you're going to get an opinion, but it's like what feels good to you, right? Having these things defined first will make it much easier for you to stay true to your vision, right? Even when unanticipated events or meddlesome loved ones require you to respond quickly. You already know what your non negotiables are. When you do what you want, or when you do want or need help, ask directly and be clear on the scope of the task from the start. This might mean letting Aunt Mary know that you love her orange zest cupcakes and that you'd appreciate her making 2 dozen of them for the reception, but you'll be deciding on the decor of your bridesmaids and the wedding attire on your own, and you still want to use a professional baker, right? So, for inspiration on essentials and personalize your weddings, right? You can always, use Pinterest and things like that, especially if all the suggestions you're getting are not in line with your vision for your big day. Most importantly, make sure that you don't lose sight and have family members interject themselves between you and your partner and start any sort of hostility or not great feelings. So there's a lot that goes into wedding planning. We want it to feel like you and your moment, your day. The best part is we get to do this together.